little road course that could. Never has there been a better battleground for this car when it comes to the MX5s. So crucial is the latter half of the season that there is no other place you could put a racetrack like this on the calendar. We are at Summit Point, West Virginia, round 9 of 10 for the regular season, and the race for the top 40 in the Simify MX5 World Sim Series is here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good evening, race fans, to what is a vital junction on the rush to the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. My name is Jake Sperry, and alongside me in the booth is Daniel Salmon. You've got Joe Peak on the cameras here. He's directing the shots in the chair. Images being broadcasted with the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. This circuit, of course, is one of the originals when it comes to iRacing. It should be second nature to everyone racing today, but for those brand new to the thrills and spills of Summit Point, here's our GSRC track guide to refresh you.
Welcome to Summit Point Raceway. Once the stomping grounds of IMSA and Trans Am vehicles thundering through the West Virginia mountains, this circuit is now mainly used for club racing and performance driver training. Situationed a couple hours west of Washington, D.C., there are actually two entirely separate circuits that can be tackled here on the iRacing service. The main circuit is just shy of 2 miles in length, including 10 turns, and can be chopped off into the short version, which has 9 turns and only 1.5 miles for a lap. The Jefferson circuit is its own 1.1 mile piece of pavement with a mere 7 turns and uniquely can be run in reverse. Both tracks are astonishingly narrow and provide quite a technical challenge. On the main course, the most popular place to pass is down into the first corner hairpin. While some drivers may try a brave dive into turn 5, the frighteningly fast kinked entry makes it prone to things going wrong quickly. Between there and turn 9, it's essentially a single file affair with nothing but tight and twisty bends snaking their way around. The Jefferson circuit isn't used as often, and because there are a few straights long enough to get a run on someone, most drivers are forced to wait for a mistake to pounce on. Otherwise, qualifying will be key. Believe it or not, IMSA's GT class raced here in the late 80s, and even Can-Am stopped in back in 86. While it probably sees much more competition here in the virtual world, it's easy to see why plenty of real drivers love to take their vehicles out to try and tackle this historic Appalachian venue.
Everything about this track is very subtle in terms of the way it challenges a driver, and we're going to see that over 2 races of 25 minutes here tonight. Zippy, you know, we're sat here at this brilliant Summit Point circuit. This raceway has been many a starting place for an iRacer, but what makes it so brilliant is, I would say, that middle sector, the chute, the carousel, and the S's.
Absolutely there, Jake. I was doing a couple of practice laps before the session kicked off, and I really think it's going to be fun watching these Miatas go through that little section there, like a bit of the infield section, you could say, the chute, the carousel, and the S's. I do find that if you can carry a good bit of momentum out of the S's, you can potentially make a pass going into Paddock Bend, but then you're going to be having a bit of a draft battle going down the main straight. So then it comes to, in turn 1, who's going to be latest on the brakes, because these cars are not the most powerful. They're all about the handling and the grip, and carrying momentum, I find, is going to be a big, crucial part of this race. And then, not only that, do you battle with the guy alongside you, or do you try and draft and keep with the people ahead of you? That's the question we're going to find out tonight.
It's going to be an important question, and there are championship points that will be available to all of these drivers. We are just starting qualifying, so they've got 10 minutes here to set a time, and they've got 3 maximum laps in order to put that time together. But let's talk the championship overall, because this is a very important, crucial fact. It is Ade Koba who is at the top, and they've already here, a lot of these drivers at the top, booked their place already. The key, though, is that whoever's top of the championship is pole position for the championship race at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca 2 months from now. Ade Koba, of course, first. Fernando Antoli, his former teammate, just 9 points back, and Jason Cooper, a further 10 points back in third. Then it's Wave Italy's Pablo Espes in 4th position, and the man of the moment, Jaume Dalmases, charging up the tables and into 5th place. Marcelo Peñan has been very consistent this season. He finds himself 6th. with Vladislav Shopov in 7th and Ronnie Mantiniemi for the Blue Rose Racing Team in 8th place. Lars Fischer has been another dab hand in 9th, and it has been Adam Delmont who finds himself then in at the 10th position as far as the driver's standings go. Teams are going to be a different point entirely here, Zippy.
Oh, absolutely. As we can see, Obsidian's at the top, 25-36 there. It looks like we've got a couple of battles going on, 3rd and 4th, between Negative Delta by Bueller's and Next Gen Racing. They're kind of close. They could have a bit of an impact on this race. Field's a little bit spread out, a bit further out, but then if you look at 8th and 9th, you've got Sweat Sim Racing and CFPM Sampaio. Again, 25 points in it. There's not a lot with Positive Delta Motorsport close behind with another 19 points there.
Yeah, those points are going to be crucial, especially when you consider that they're only down to 1 driver over at the Obsidian Racing Team, so they may cede that championship over to 5-Star Motorsport today. Spain leads your Nations Cup, though that has been under 0 threat with a 205-point margin over the United Kingdom. It's been a very interesting scrap between Bulgaria and Finland, 3rd and 4th, just the 20 points between them as they head here to Summit Point. You then have the United States of America in 5th position. They find themselves a further, I would say, 28 points back then in 5th, with Italy in 6th and the Netherlands finding themselves 7th. Brazil are 8th with Germany in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 is Portugal, 1,090 points adrift here in terms of what they've got. But what they have to deal with today is going to be an important point and an important question. We're round 9 of 10 here, Zippy, but there's some very interesting intricacies with their racing.
Oh, it should be pretty good. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It's my first time here with the season. And where it's a fixed setup as well, it's really going to be a case of, like, you've got to control the car. Like, are you racing the track or are you racing the opponent? And I'm really looking forward to seeing some of this action as well. And it's interesting to see, like, a Nations Cup as well. At this point, I'm very glad to be from the UK. I'm living in Canada now. I didn't see them on the list. So for the purpose of this broadcast, I'm going to identify solely as British.
Well, that's going to be good for us. But they've got 25 minutes on each race, but each setup between the races are different. So for those who are brand new, looking for a brand new series to jump into, this is probably the perfect one here, Zippy, because they are locked to the iRacing rookie baseline set here for this Division 2 race. When we get to Division 1, they'll be pushed onto the advanced set, as there is Pedro Maramon, currently the fastest, with, I believe, there a brilliant run for the SDC Spirit 14 racing car right now, 121.7, but we should expect these times to be close in their qualifying.
Oh, it's going to be good. I mean, as we're looking at this field as well, there's not a lot separating them. Like, as I look, 1st and 2nd, there's only, oh wow, another time gone in there by C. Jacqueline. And another one gone in. Like, the qualifying's constantly updating. I'm having a hard time keeping with it, to be honest. But S. Dumas, they're taking the pole straight off them. And as I'm trying to, like, work out this gap here, but as I'm looking at the top 10, I'd say there's about a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds between them. The top 3, especially top 4, 5 even, not a lot in it. It's going to be really tight, but qualifying is one part of the task. Racecraft is another. I know for myself, I've never been the guy to set the hot lap. I'm the guy who wants to get out, get on the track, and I'm going to make you work for the position. It's not just that. It's like you can try and psychologically defeat your opponent. So if you ride their bumper, lap in, lap out, and again, are you going to force them into a mistake? With this caliber of drivers, I don't know yet. I've not seen these guys race, but I'm looking forward to the action.
Now, here's something that's quite crucial, as Michael Elliott is currently 2nd fastest. There are 7 drivers who are inside the top 40 in the championship here in Division number 2. That is indicated by their number. That shows you their championship position. Michael Elliott is one of them in 34th. Now, there are going to be a couple drivers who are going to be taking points away from them here today, but the big key is that 40th through 43rd are all here. So Peter Reed is currently the driver on the bubble for the grand final, but you got Matt Tempest, Willem van Rassel, and Melvin Tyne all wanted to get in, as Stefan Dumas goes a couple tenths quicker still.
I was getting near the end of the qualifying now. We've got about 4 minutes to go. We can just see Dumas resetting back to the pits now, back onto Mackenzie Mann. Hoping they can put in, obviously, a quick race. Jake, tell me a bit more as well. Like, do you find from experience, are these guys, are they going to be going for the outright battle, or are they more interested in the long game? Are they trying to stay with the pack, stay with the leaders? Tell me a bit about that.
depends on how the race forms, I think is the right way to say it here, because we've had a case of some drivers do like to stay with the pack, other drivers do like to attack, but there are lots of points at stake, and they are trying to get as much as they can. There are also, as well, bonus points on offer, especially here in this division, with Armanula Bacchus going 18th quickest, Maramon now back into 5th. So, top 20 in championship, and they went through the seeding day. They've had 4 days to seed to qualify into which split they're in. Gets 20 points down to 1 point for 20th. With a race win, you get an extra 3 championship points here in Division 2. Pole position is important. You get 2 championship points for that. And let's not forget that you get 2 championship points here in Division 2 for the fastest lap, and 2 points for being the hard charger, whoever gains the most spaces through the field during the race.
Hard charge has always been one of my favorite ones, because again, it comes down to the fastest lap, or are you the guy on the racetrack? And for me, hard charger, it makes it a much more fun and exciting race. I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, being the fastest guy is awesome. It's like, say if you're the Verstappen of the World Cup Miata world, if you're that guy and you can get out and do that, I mean, all power to you. But myself, I rather try and make my way through the field. It just makes for much more enjoyment. I mean, I love the wheel-to-wheel combat. That to me is the interest, but I'm really looking forward to it. I'm thinking that infield section, like you said, I think that's going to be the hot spot. I do wonder if we're going to see some bump drafting as well, but another 2 minutes of qualifying left to go. It's not long before we find out.
Victor Oliveira is out of laps at this point. The only driver out there right now who has laps remaining is Michael Tanagretta in the number 58 machine. He's currently 30th fastest at the moment, driving for the very ominous Organization at this moment in time, trying to improve on a 23 flat. Needs a 10th of a second to jump Rory Wetherington in the number 65 car to move on up forward. So we'll see what Tanagretta can manage here heading towards the line. And that charge going over is a 22.8. So that was more than enough to jump up. And that's an extra row on the grid. He starts further forward there. Jumps also Tyler Emery in that position. So great work there by Michael Tanagretta, Zippy.
Oh, excellent work. Again, there's not much laps to go. Myself, when I was driving this, he's hitting like just the lower end of 5th gear going down the main straight, doing about 120 mile an hour. A lot of second and third, certainly first turn I was going in second, but it's really hard to get the nose to rotate round. I was actually using the same setup as well. I was using the baseline, and certainly getting into second gear, and then you spend a lot of time in third. Going into that section at the end, like that infield section in turns 5, 6, and 7, I'm really looking forward to that, because you can take a tighter line around 6 and 7, carry a bit of speed through 8 and 9, and it can set you up for the rest of the remainder of the lap. It's all about that momentum, all about that. And especially in a Miata, you don't have buckets of power to deliver, and the draft as well, really influential. But if you've got a guy in front of you who's getting a draft, you just need it just to stay with them. Making that pass is incredibly difficult.
It absolutely is, and we're going to see that. Let's take ourselves then over to the Simify starting grid, the title sponsor for the MX5 World Sim Series. Simify is an online web shop housing a vast array of sim racing essentials for the next step in your virtual career. From steering wheels, seats, and handbrakes to even the common sim racing glove, Simify ships worldwide and is available to be seen both in English and Espanol. Use discount code MX5WSS at checkout to receive a discount on your sim racing purchase by visiting www.simify.com today. It's a great qualifying if your name is Stefan Dumas. He is on the pole position with a 21.367. We'll have Roger Morton alongside for company in the Year 1 Motorsports car. Then it's Carl Wincott in third. Michael Ellett starts in fourth. Row 3 houses Charles Kellyman and Pedro Marimon. Willem van Rassel and Nicholas Norwood house themselves on row 4. Row 5 sees Carl Jacquelet in 9th and Luis Suarez rounding out the top 10.
And in 11th, we've got Victor Oliveira. 12th, we've got Martin Smith. 13th, Melvin Tuchin and Damien McMillan in 14th there. Row 8, we've got David Geddes and Anton Simonov. Row 9, Patrick Cantrell and Brett Wright. And then closing out row 10, we've got Amula Bacchus and Peter Reed.
And over the page then onto the third run down, Bruno Albino and Matt Tempest. Poor qualifying from Matt, he'll have work to do. So too will Mackenzie Mann in 23rd, along with Andy Littler in 24th position. The rest of the grid then is flying across your screen right now, down to 37 as they go through, because the green flag is in the air and they've jumped very early. Everyone got onto the grid before time ticked itself over, so everyone was eager to race today. Dumas will have the inside here with Roger Morton, looking to try and find that position on that outside line and try and navigate a way through. On the brakes they go. This is a bottleneck through the early stages, so expect a couple drivers maybe to trip over each other here through at turn 1, but it looks pretty clean, at least from the front, as they single out now Pedro Marimon, still side by side as he rushes forward. Charles Kellyman trying to look the Jamaican on the outside.
Oh, it's going very clean so far. Excellent racing. I'm really hoping that these guys can keep it clean, but we're going to see as the track starts to suddenly feel a lot smaller as they go and bunch up into turns 5, 6, and 7. This is where it's going to get interesting, because all of a sudden we're going to go, okay, are they going to go too wide? We've got our first accident there. It's Pedro Marimon. He's going round. There's contact, multiple vehicles. Other cars just absolutely just bowling in. We've got a full 10 pin here and more.
Yeah, it looked like there was one incident and then a second one pretty much clogged up the field. There's not much more that you could say about that, except you are trying to funnel everyone through a very tight section. These tyres do take 2 or 3 laps to get up to temperature. Worry about the brakes. Was that someone off on the right-hand side there going forward? It absolutely was, and somehow managing to gather that back up and away again. I think that might have been Carl Jacquelet there, who found himself in the world of trouble at that section of point. But a scary lap score complete. Dumas leads this field with Morton in second. Wincott finds himself in third, and the front 4 are clear, but they're now starting to search and pivot to try and find an angle. Not quite there from the 1P Motorsport car of Carl Wincott. He has to stay patient.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this has worked out really good for them. They're going to be able to hopefully break away from the rest of the pack. They've got like a 3.5 second gap to Soares over in 5th, but this is where we're really going to find out, are these guys going to battle, or are they just going to try and bolt and get away from the rest of the field? I mean, it's a 23 minutes left to go. There's still a lot of work to be done, especially in the Miata. And like you said, I noticed this as well, driving it just before the session. They do take a couple of laps to get a bit of heat in the tyres. And as we see here, we're on board now with Roger Morton, I believe. Roger Morton we're on board with. And we're really trying to just keep the car, the front of the nose planted. As you see here, he goes around this section here, and this is where I'm on about. You really want to carry that exit speed. We're looking back, my apologies, we're looking back on Morton. We're live with Stefan Dumas, and this is where we're going to see he's really going to have that momentum. You're going to see as he goes into the final turn, and as you push the car, you'll see that a lot of the drivers are going to use a lot of this overthrow here on the outside of the track. In the Miata, you especially need it. You really need to use all of that track to keep up the momentum.
And that track's going to be key, especially when that second group wants to try and get itself in. Now, the lap traffic that has been caught out, they've got unlimited fast repairs in this series so they can go through. There's the search from Wincott. Down the inside at turn 1, door-to-door contact then as they go through. Martin Schmidt with the fastest lap has a bonus point in his back pocket, or 2, as he now starts to go through. But troubles then for Michael Elliott there from 4th position. He went off the road, having been turned by the lap traffic of Nicholas Norwood, and just like that, his hopes for the top 40 are suddenly going up in smoke.
Well, it's always rough when you experience lap traffic, especially so early on in a race, but then when you have an incident with them, it's even harder on the head. But the thing is, you got to try and get your head back in the game. I mean, this is a long race. There's a lot of cars on the grid as well. I mean, if I'm just counting here, we've got at least 40 cars here. 36 cars. That is a lot of Miatas on a very short circuit. So you've really got to try and keep your head in the game. Attrition is going to be part of this. The field will spread out, especially with those earlier incidents. You're going to find, carnage there.
Oh, and he's tagged someone else as well. And it's Anton Simeonov then in the negative Delta car who's managed to just about save it there. So Oliveira had a massive slap heading through the chute from Nicholas Norwood, the lap traffic, which caused all of the troubles then in the early goings. But as that happens then, as they try and get past Brett Wide, it's side by side, it's 3 wide for a moment as they now look to race on here for this second position. Morton trying to defend on the outside, little bit of contact again by Wincott here, who's trying to lean on the car on that inside. but it's a left-hander that's next, and it's the sort of sorting out corner that you've got, a late apex that you tend to find, and just like that, it is as simple as it gets. But now here comes the cutback, heading for the chute.
Oh, and it's going to be really good going up into here, because really the car gets quite unbalanced just in that little section there. You can really start to feel it get a bit twitchy, and then slowing it down for this corner, it really takes all of the braking power of those four-wheel disc brakes on the Miata. But this particular section, I found I always took a tighter line. I didn't use all the track. I mean, maybe that's a failure on my own driving skill here, but certainly you want to try and carry that momentum, and Wincop's really got to have to do a bit more work. But you're going to see here, as I'm looking at the gap between Morton and Dumas, there is a bit of a gap. I don't think he's going to quite get enough of a draft, certainly not compared to Wincop and Morton. Wincop will certainly be able to get a bit more of a pull, a bit more of a tow going down that front straight.
Yeah, and that's the key. It does plateau as a rise, but then it does drop down the hill over towards turn number 1. Very subtle, that is, at the moment. Dumas, 1.2 seconds now to the good, and with the fastest lap check mark next to the name as well, with that going forward. Little bit further back, this group starts to get interesting, because you've got Peter Reid in the number 40 car, the man on the bubble in the championship, with Armanula Bacchus and Bruno Albino trying to find a way through in the 3-wide racing car. It's not quite 3 wide at the moment, but the search is not there down at the opening corner, and these drivers are all going to have to tiptoe their way around and find themselves an angle to go out there and attack. They've got the recovering Anton Simeonov as well to deal with. Also on top of that, Michael Ellis on the back of this group.
Oh, definitely. It's really, really tight racing so far, but the thing about any race, especially when you get heat racing as such as like this, where you've got the 2 races, in the first one, I find tempers are always a little bit hotter. Everybody's a little bit more on the edge. It takes a little bit while for them to kind of settle in and find their comfort zone. As you can see there, that Miata getting very close to the tail, very close. So the question is, are these guys going to practice like the low risk, high reward, or is it going to be all guns blazing straight from the start?
Well, at the moment, we've seen a bit of all guns blazing here, there, and everywhere. We've seen in other places it's been a little bit more calm. There have been some good gainers through the field. Luis Suarez has now, we got side by side, and here comes the move from Damian McMullen in the DM Sim Racing car. Very unfortunate not to get a victory, as Morton now sets the fastest lap of the race. Suarez has gained 6 places off the start. Melvin Tyne has 5 off of this start. 9 places gained by Peter Reid is incredible so far in this race, and Bruno Albino up 8 respectively. Your biggest mover in the field currently is Rory Wetherington. He's up 13 spots off the start of this race. He is currently your hard charger, and it's on for the race lead right now with a gap of about 0.3 of a second as we focus on Wetherington, that hard charger. Oh, car way off there as it went by.
I was just actually watching myself, checking through the standards.
Simeonov.
Michael Ellett. He's not having a good race. I've just seen him. He's literally got punted into turn 1, pushed wide out. So I'm hoping that he can actually recover, certainly maybe in the second race. But that's the thing again, as these cars will, too close there, too close. As you can see, like with the Miatas especially, you end up riding such close battles and stuff like that. I mean, it's not just like you got 2 temps, 3 temps. You've got inches. That is the beauty of racing these Miatas. I find that when you start going to like the higher aero cars and the higher powered cars, you can't necessarily ride a couple of inches off a bumper. But with the Miatas, that is my favorite part about running these particular cars, is just how close the racing can be.
Here's the move for the race lead then. Roger Morton looking to the outside of Stefan Dumas has done a very good job of bringing that gap in. Nose to nose they go. He's tried the inside, it hasn't worked. Now he tries the outside. And he turns him across his bumper. And just like that, it'll be Carl Wincop who takes the race lead.
And it's not only that, Stefan Dumas got pushed out of the track limits and reset to the pit, so it's kind of adding insult to injury there. Definitely not the race that he was looking forward to. But then the question is, if you're now in the lead, how do you feel about that? You can see here, we watch the replay, going side by side into turn 1, he cuts across. All's looking pretty clean about now, side by side, bumper to bumper, and then it just a little bit of netcode, perhaps a little bit of spatial awareness, and boom, into the grass and reset.
I don't think Roger Morton moved off his line there, and that's going to be the key here for Stefan Dumas. He was trying to take a little bit too much, always had the car still there alongside, and at that point, you have to leave space for that car on the inside. If you don't get the clear, you're in trouble. Morton was trying to redress that and that's why he hit the brakes so aggressively and dropped back. It's now Carl Winkop in the 1P Motorsport car that leads this race, and everybody else is now going to jump a couple of positions. Dropping back a little bit has been Luis Suarez. So Charles Kellyman, Willem van Rassel, they've both gone through. So too Carl Jacquelet. And there is Patrick Cantrell and Anton Simeonov in their race right now. 20th and 21st positions. Points are so crucial, and they keep swapping and changing every time they go through. You have to look every which way, and we've only gone through 10 minutes worth of racing.
10 minutes done, another 15 to go. And as I look at that Miata in front there, it looks like there's a little bit of damage on the front bumper cone as I'm looking at that. So with the Miatas, I think they're generally quite a forgiving car. I don't find they penalise you, certainly not as heavily as like the higher aerodynamically focused cars. But yeah, there is definitely some damage on the front of there, but I don't think it seems to be slowing them up. And even though you're back in 20th, 21st, that doesn't mean that it's the end of the race. It just means you get somebody different to play with. And that's the beauty of this.
Bye-bye.
The scenic route definitely being explored at that point, and he is reset to the pit, so perhaps a chance to repair the car while he's there.
Yeah, so Anton Simeonov's horror show of a day, and we're just I think a day out from Halloween. I think it's a nightmare on Elm Street and a little bit more at that moment in time for him. There is Luis Suarez, and that is Melvin Tyne, the Dutchman, starting to chase down that gap. Now, these are important points here for Melvin, and someone like Luis Suarez, who's 38th in the championship, is an absolute boon to try and get by. Here's the number 43, trying to chase this down, and it's all rivals that he'll be looking at to try and get into the top 40 against. Charles Kellyman, one of them. Willem van Rassel, another. Carl Jacquelet, another. Keep going, another one, another one. It's all that Melvin Tyne is trying to chase down.
Oh, he's certainly got a pursuit ahead of him, especially if he wants to take that number 1 spot, but this is a beautiful day to be from the UK, because as I'm looking, we've got Winkop, Morton and Jacquelet all from the UK. The Queen would be very proud at this point. Sadly, she's departed and is now watching from a bit more remote location, but certainly a good day to be from the UK.
Yeah, it's a good day in Division 2, but the big points come along in Division 1, and that's where most of the Nation Cup points are going to be scored. It's the best 3 from your nation that scores in that championship. So watch the likes of Jason Cooper, for example, Adam McNally, Adam Delmont be the main scorers there at the moment, but there's still some great driving. Safeguard by result. Roger Morton is absolutely there now with Carl Winkop. He's proven that he's got the pace all day. He's now going to have to look to the outside of the final corner. Door gets slammed shut as he goes through. That could have been very dangerous there, and Roger Morton did just enough to get himself out of trouble at that point. He is living dangerously.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it could be a 007 movie at that point, and then you got Victor Oliveira watching behind, and he's just got the front row. He's lapped traffic, but he's got a front row view of the battle, and I think he's doing a very smart decision as he's trying to stay way out of it, as he's gone really wide there. Morton barely hanging onto the track. Oliveira kind of like thinking, well, I want to go, but I don't want to get in the way of these guys. It is literally a clash of the titans here. Certainly when I was in practice, this particular corner here.
Oh, there we go.
The sand was the biggest hurdle, but I guess the other car is a bigger hurdle, but can he get that car out of the way of the track? You want to rejoin safely as to not to cause chaos, panic, and disorder amongst your other competitors. But the big thing about a large field is you got so many people who are just going to shoot by, and at the minute it really is hard to get a nice clean pass. I mean, it's such a tight gap as we go to the replay here.
Well, this is where Roger Morton was going to race hard for everything. 135, racing for pride. Oh, and he just gets swiped on that inside. Now, you tell me there, Zippy, where is he supposed to go at turn 3?
I'd say turn left, but not that much of an exaggerated steering angle. He definitely had a little bit of a nudge, resulting in some form of ballet in terms of pirouettes. It's not the preferred line through there. I'd say it was more of an alternate one, but hopefully he can make a recover. He's had to drop back all the way to 16th now, which is really, really not what he had in mind. But again, the good thing is there's that second race coming. So I don't know about yourself, Jake, but whenever I race with people, especially frequently, you learn who makes what kind of moves. I mean, I don't know how well these guys get along. They might go, okay, you know what, honest mistake, it happens. It might be a case of, okay, you know what, next time, you're mine.
Yeah, but that next time will be next month. They only get this one race. It's Division 2 by how they've qualified, and it's the Division 1 drivers that will then get to go in about 10.5 minutes' time once this race concludes. It is Willem van Rassel chasing down Carl Jacquelet. This is an important battle for that top 40 because they know how important it is to get those points. Van Rassel looking here, there, and everywhere for a move. Wasn't quite finding it. Tynan Suarez there, we just saw in the foreground a shot, was also having a big battle as they rush through the carousel now and start to run back for the S's and to run back to home for another lap score complete.
There's definitely no shortage of action as we're watching Van Russell here. He can see second place, that the hair is there, the carrot is there, and he's motivated. But at the minute, honestly, looking at the field and the action we've had from these Miatas so far, I'd almost want to have a little bit of clear track, and that's what Wingcop's got right now. He's got a 3.2 second gap over second and third. He just needs to keep in some clean laps, try and stay out, try and avoid any incidents, but he's only gained 2 places, which like overall isn't a big jump. I mean, he qualified well, but as I look back, we've got a new hard charger, I believe. We've got, no, it's still Rory Wetherington with 17 spots gained, which is absolutely fantastic. But Alef Imran, who's just a second ahead of him, he's 14 spaces ahead as well. So we've got a couple of hard chargers going for them bonus points there, but generally, you know what? If you can qualify well and then finish well, that is the much more secure tactic to start scoring those points.
Yeah, they're running out of time in the series, though, so it's going to be all down to their seeding qualifyings, which I think become important. That has been the change of position. So Luis Suarez has now fallen behind the sweat racing car of Melvin Tyne, who now moves up inside the top 5, rushing through the chute and on the brakes into one of the most difficult corners on the circuit. So easy to just dip it a little bit too aggressive through there and run wide. Look at that, trying to force a way through there is Luis Suarez, but he's not getting the luck in the 3-wide racing car to move by Melvin Tyne. Tyne is holding himself time immemorial at this moment. He will not move for anybody at this point and realizes that the group in front, second, third, and fourth, is a little bit too far away.
Well, with 8.5 minutes to go, I mean, they might have ruled out the chance of actually being able to catch who's ahead. So the question is, do you battle for position or do you drive defensively? Myself, I admit I'm not the fastest lapper, but if I want to make the car seem 2 cars, 3 cars wide, I have a talent for that. But as you can see there, Kellyman's starting to put a little bit of a nose in, trying to put a bit of encouragement there, but not quite enough, as I realize I'm looking at 2 battles instead of the right one. My apologies there, but absolutely, he's just persevering. Thank you very much to our director for putting them up. Suarez chasing Tujin there, really trying to push and push and push. But even though it's a Miata, it's a 181 horsepower car, 7,000 RPM redline. You can overdrive the vehicle. You can't just send it in deep everywhere. And you've really got to try and time when you make the pass. And sometimes slow in, fast out is the way to go. Is it going side by side here?
Oh, just about holding it, though. So that's crucial in the defense there from Melvin Tyne. Suarez is trying everything to find the move, tried to capitalize on that mistake, but it wasn't enough, really, to make that happen. Now, that group in front is also starting to catch Carl Wingcop down. That gap's now down to 2.2 seconds with 7.25 minutes left on the clock. Not impossible in terms of gap trying to bring down. Suarez, once again, side by side goes the Portuguese driver. It's 38 versus 43, and the driver inside the bubble passes the driver who's on the wrong side of the bubble at this point.
Oh, I don't think it's going to be over quite yet, because even though he's passed in the final turn, he's got that whole front straight to try and draft. But the question is, can Suarez pull away? I think he's coming up for a lap car ahead of him as well, so that could certainly put another mix in the race dynamic as they're coming up on Martin Smith, the car 50. But I know whenever I see lap traffic, it's kind of, sometimes it can be a blessing, other times it can be a little bit of a curse in disguise. But we're now going back to P10 now, and we've got like a freeway battle going on here, I believe.
Yes, we do. So it's Matt Tempest here, who's in the outside looking in, trying to hold off Armanullah Bacchus and Alif Imran. Now, Imran is 46th in the championship, so he's got every incentive to try and gain his little place. Bacchus has got the move as the South African, but what can Alif Imran do to find that place? So he's got the chance then to start thinking about that pass. Everyone goes defensive down to the inside to cover everyone else's move, but the attack off the exit by Alif Imran, incredible drive, trying to search around the outside. It's still not there, and the door's left open because Bruno Albino's there, the Portuguese driver, is going to start trying to really muscle his way through the S's, though. I tell you what, it's going to be tight here through this section, and they're going to manage it, so everyone's there. That gap at the front, though, is now down to 1.2 seconds. Jacquelet is flying.
He's absolutely sending it, and it's got to be the draft certainly would definitely help. I mean, these guys by iRacing are very similarly matched, but when it comes to a league race, that doesn't generally mean like an absolute gospel send-all. But I'm looking at the main straight right now as we're going free ride. Wetherington is stuck in the middle, not the place I would want to be, but he's going to be getting the tow from Suarez in front. Who's going to, like, are you going to brake early going into this situation? And it looks like Wetherington's going for the late break, but can he get it round turn one? He's certainly exploring all of the track there, pushing it right out to the curbs. Elliott takes the place ahead of him. And we've got Imran tucked in right behind as well.
Yep, so that's some great heads-up driving there from Rory Wetherington, just running the car in deep there, just leaving space everywhere he possibly could, and he'll pick up this one off the exit because Michael Elliott dips some tyres in the gravel. That's a freebie through in towards the chute. Cookies, thank you very much. I'll take that position, and I will take that absolutely fantastically. But it is now starting to really heat up everywhere you look. It's on for third. You can argue as well it's on for the race lead inside 5 minutes left in this race. There is the 1P Motorsport car of Carl Wincop. Behind him is Carl Jacquelet, and he is someone who has been putting the time in for year upon year upon year, almost solely in this Miata.
Well, that's a good thing about driving a car over and over again. You get more and more familiar, but it's certainly... it's paying off at this point because he's got Jacquelet right on his rear bumper as they're going into turn one. A little bit of a slide there from Wincop. Maybe pushing the car a little bit too hard, a little bit worried about who's behind him. Can Jacquelet psych out Wincop? Is he going to be able to ride his bumper and force him into a mistake? That's the question. I guess we're going to find out. But even if he does that, can Van Rassel over in third behind him? He's not managed to quite stay with Jacquelet there, but he's 1.3 seconds back. So any error between these two, and he could go storm on to take the win.
Yeah, he definitely has that chance to go and get that place, but has he got enough with 3.5 minutes left in this race? A little bit of a wiggle there through that section is going to open up that gap by about a tenth or so as they now drive it out to the carousel and through towards the S's again. You've got behind that as well Van Rassel and Kellyman out there looking for position. So it's tandem racing at this point. The more that Carl Jacquelet has to sit behind Wincop, the more likely Van Rassel and Kellyman are going to get brought into the mix. But the key here is that gap is being absolutely brought down to just 1/10 of a second through the final corner, which acts as a slingshot onto this front stretch. And now here comes the magic move. It's to the outside. Goes Carl Jacquelet with just under 3 minutes on the clock. Can he make the move around the outside and take his place in the race lead? It's side by side for third as well. And on the brakes, Wincop is brave on that inside, but Jacquelet has drive, and Jacquelet takes the lead.
He's got it for now, but I don't know if this battle's over yet. But as these guys keep fighting, like you said, Van Rassel and Kellyman, they are definitely closing up closer behind him. I think this is going to end up being a four-way fight, certainly going into the last couple of corners. But as I'm looking at it now, I really think it's going to end up bunching up. I'm looking forward to it. I definitely want them to bunch up because nothing is better than having 2 wide through a corner other than having 3 wide through a corner. And you know what? Let's see if we can fit 4 wide through a Miata. Like 4 Miatas wide through a corner here. We're going to really explore all of the track here and see how many Miatas we can cram in one corner.
There's been troubles for Matt Tempest in the 41 car, so a horrible moment for him as his hopes of getting inside the top 40 may be dashed. After that, we'll catch it on the GSRC replay here. So that car is already battered at that moment in time. So let's see where it's gone wrong for him in the number 41 car, rushing down this front stretch and trying to get as much of a run as possible. It looks like this might be the sell, or what has been the case so often this season, of how quickly the front can get absolutely demolished when the car loses grip.
Oh, you can just see there, like you said, he's just run out of traction and then just a snowball effect. You get clipped by one and then you're along for the ride at that point. But as we go back to our second place car there of Carl Wincop, he's dropped back a little bit behind Jacquelet, but he's not out of the mix yet. If Jacquelet can keep driving clean, they can certainly, you know, bring it home. But the pack's really starting to come back up. Van Rassel there, he's closed the gap down to 6 tenths. So between second and third, we've got like an equal gap now, with Kellyman only 8 tenths behind as well. They're really starting to come together now.
Yeah, they really are. And so now you're starting to see Willem van Rassel. He might want to try and steal second position away. Now, where they are in the lap, they are going to have to go one more revolution around this circuit. There's no way that you can slow that down and get Barney to wave the checkered flag for you. They are pretty much locked in for this. One more lap and a little bit left in terms of this race, and it's going to be for Carl Wincop a case of, can he find that draft and give himself a run here to Carl Jacquelet? It's a battle of who is best Carl at this moment in time as the clock starts to tick down. Just 11 seconds, 10 seconds, they now start their final lap.
Oh, it's really going to come down to the last one, as we can see that the cars are bunching back together. I'm actually looking at the fight right now between 5th and 6th. Suarez and Tujan. They are side by side going for it down that front straight. And there's not only that, there's another car tucked in behind him, Damien McMillan. Not really spoke much about him so far through this race, but he is right in there with him. So potentially more points on the board. But
oh, there it goes wrong. And just like that, Luis Suarez will be put to the pit, and his troubles then are done. And it will be classified here at this as they are going to start finishing because of where they now stack. Jacquelet now still with that race lead, but Wincop 6 tenths of a second. It's then 6 tenths of a second further back there to Van Rassel, but Charles Kellyman might want a podium as well as he now tries to put himself into the mix and get himself that charge forward. They will fly now through the left and the right here as they now start to charge, and it's going to be all about getting to the line as quickly as they possibly can. There's not going to be much time for them as they go through, and I'm not sure all the drivers will actually be classified on this lead lap, but Carl Jacquelet, cool hand Luke, he might as well be, because he just made the move at the right place, at the right time, and he takes Division 2.
What a fantastic result for Jacquelet there, but as you can see throughout the race, there's been a lot of people where they had such pace, but if you get caught in an unfortunate incident, your race can be over in a matter of seconds, especially with the track limits and the grass. So I got to say, well done to all the people who managed to finish the race cleanly. Like, there's definitely been some hard charges. Rory Reverington finishing with 19 spots gained. Just goes to show, 18 spots gained now. It's flicking between 18 and 19.
It's 19.
A high number nonetheless. Attrition is a thing here, and I've got to say that, to me, he would be my driver of the day purely because of the amount of high positions moved.
Now, Andy Littler's going to be in real trouble here trying to get that one back. He's got 40 seconds before he'll be classified as a lap down. But that is an absolutely brutalized work guard car at this moment. It looks like it's been in for full service, and you could say it's modified. The radiator's got so much cooling on the front of that. But that is going to be pretty much everybody then over and across towards the line. What we can now do for you is bring over the results from what was a crucial race here today from Division 2. Carl Jacquelet picking up the result and doing so by 5 tenths of a second over Carl Wincop. He proved he was best Carl, the number 37 today. Willem van Rassel and Charles Kellyman would be 3rd and 4th, with Melvin Tyne in 5th and Damien McMullen just behind in 6th. Good day for Peter Reid in 7th. That will keep him in the hunt then for the top 40 overall as the man on the bubble, with Amanullah Bacchus finishing in 8th, Michael Ellett recovering to 9th, and Alif Imran rounding out the top 10 overall.
As we look at 11th, we got our hard charger there, Rory Revington, followed by Bruno Albino in 12th. Patrick Cantrell coming in for the USA at 13th with our driver from Finland, I believe. Karo Rantanen, I apologize, in 14th. Roger Morton coming in 15th, a little bit unlucky there early on in the race. Bill Jenkins 16th, followed by Pedro Merriman in 17th, another unlucky driver there. Lewis Benny, didn't see him too much in 18th, and Michael Tanagretta and Tyler Emery in 19th and 20th.
Going over the page here, these drivers will be the last ones finishing on the lead lap. Alvaro Rodriguez, Stefan Elder, Arturo de Villa, Shane Pettingill and co are all going to be in a little bit of trouble. David Mitchell wasn't able to make much progress, was the Scot, nor to Andy Littler, the last finisher on the lead lap. Luis Suarez was up by the podium. He'll finish, be classified, as a lap down, with Victor Oliveira, Martin Schmidt, and David Geddes. And then over the page final, with the last few drivers found themselves a lap down, including Stefan Dumas, Brett Ride, Anton Simeonov, and non-finishes for Nicholas Norwood and Mackenzie Mann over the course of the racing that we have seen. We're going to step aside, though, for one quick moment here with the Global SimRacing Channel. Division 1 is going to come up after this, and it's going to be a crucial one because that battle for pole overall still is on the horizon. With Division 2 proving that it's who can outlast who, Division 1 now becomes an important battleground. Every point has been worth its weight in gold, and that has gone as well down to the 20 fastest drivers from preceding, so to speak, 1 week ago. Jason Cooper took the maximum of 20 points from there. Ade Koba minimizes losses with 19, so that gap certainly from 9 points, you would say, is 11 at this moment in time heading into the racing we've got. Qualifying is currently underway here at Summit Point for Division 1 racing, and the race for pole position at this moment in time, Daniel, for what is the top 40 race, the final race, the grand final at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. It's all about track positioning for that race because there's no qualifying in the final. You earn it through this season.
It's definitely an interesting dynamic. It's not one that I'm super familiar with, but it really does add to the importance. Like sometimes when you race, you can just go, okay, you know what, I'm going to go for the overall points. I'm going to go, you know, take a more reserved approach and just try and stay clean. But where they have to fight so hard to get into that next race, it's really going to definitely add a firecracker into the action. And I really think that it's definitely going to be, it's not going to be wheel to wheel. I think we may see a little bit more bump drafting, just especially lower down in the field, just to try and make sure they stay in them high qualifying positions.
Jason Cooper to the point, 120.3. Marcelo Pignan can't go quicker as he brings it to a crawl over the line and can't go faster. Jaume Dalmasa is currently second, and a debut start for Lorenzo Pfeiffer in third position. He's having a fantastic qualifying, and he's got himself up in the order. Now, there's 3 minutes left, and I think everybody who's out there, except Ronald Moens, who is the Belgian driver, owner of the Virtual Bell Car Championship on iRacing, he's probably one of the only drivers to improve. Joel Singleton going spread eagle sideways.
Definitely not the preferred way of doing it, but again, it happens, especially you've only got a couple of laps to qualify in these Miatas, and you won't get the tires fully up to temperature. So it's a little bit different in the race conditions as well. And you were saying earlier that the setup is now onto the advanced setup, I believe you were saying?
Yeah.
So that's the driving dynamic of the car is going to shift slightly. It's not going to feel like the same car that we would have just seen in the previous race.
And so the pace does increase, and that then from Ronald Moses, 27th position, likes of David Chapman still trying to take some laps and get a little bit more time to acclimatize out on this circuit. But this is important, Daniel, to talk about. The margins now are more important. So from where we were talking about how important is a race win, when you consider that coming into today, the gap is 9 points, you get 10 bonus points if you win this Division 1 race. So a win today will put someone like Fernando Antoli, for example, right on position number 1 as David Chapman in the year 1 car is looking to get that final practice in. This will not count as a qualifying lap.
Definitely, although it's not going to count as a qualifying, it doesn't hurt to get more familiar with the car, especially where that setup's been changed. Often it can be underrated fully how much the setup can change a car, but it's almost like its personality. So all right, you may like the brunette, you may like her to be 5'10", but realistically, it doesn't matter unless you know what she's like. You know, you got to live with this person potentially, and it's the same kind of relationship a driver can have with his car. Maybe not quite as intimate, but you want to be connected to the car. You want to understand what the car's feeling, what it's doing, and that by being like conjoined and like communicating well, you got a better chance of putting it on the front of the grid.
And putting it on the front of the grid for Jason Cooper means that he is 5 championship points richer on top of the 20 he got from preceding. So he's got that. It's 5 points for the fastest lap bonus point in this one. Hard Charger's still worth 2, but it is as crucial can get, as there is number 1, your championship leader, who is, of course, Ade Koba, as he makes his way around. We're just about ready to get ourselves through towards the grid. So let's take ourselves then once again over to our Simify starting grid for you. The title sponsor of the MX5 World Sim Series. It is, of course, absolutely fantastic to see them there. You can get all your products through using the discount code MX5WSS at www.simify.com today. Jason Cooper on the pole has Jaume Dalmases alongside the company. He's been on a fantastic rich vein of form. The summer, he was unbeatable. Lorenzo Pfeiffer starts in third with Marcelo Pignan in fourth. Ade Koba and Fernando Antoli, the top 2 in the championship. How's row 3 on the grid? Enzo Sampaio goes from 7th with Vladislav Shopov in 8th. Lars Fischer for 5-star starts 9th. And a little bit down the order is Pablo Espes in 10th place.
And on row 6 here, we've got Morgan Burkhardt, we've got Oscar Pujard in 12th, Jamison Sampaio in 13th, with Adam McNally next to him in 14th, David Chapman 15th there, next to Roni Mantiami in 16th, and Adam Delmont 17th, with Tero Tylos in 18th, Trevor Roy and Iodorin Zvetsnov in 20th.
Yeah, over the page then to 21st, Rodrigo Emmerich will start there in 21st, along with Ewan Bramer. You then got Ishmael Lamella. So likes of Lamella will be crucial to get as many points as possible with 55th in the championship. Jamie Florentino in 24th. Then it's Joel Singleton and Laurent Sebastian with Ronald Mones and Edward Gross in 28th position. Calicavisto starts 29th with Alexandre Longo, then rounding out the top 30. The last few drivers will fly on through with Roberto Bruno, Miles Owens, Riyad Yasmin back there with Rene Zegelaar, Patrick Alders, first start as well for, I think, one of the first starts for Klearchos Duvantzis in 36th, with Ari Haro, the last driver to set a time. No time set for Stephen Orrell in the Darius Scary car, and Sandavara. They're looking to put their points through the hard lap bonus as they look to charge. But with the 2 minutes that they have to grid up, it's back to old school for this series. Fixed weather conditions that they have, including a fixed time. It is about 7 to 8 in the morning here in terms of track. It will be the entirety of the race. No wind to speak of. Track at 27 degrees Celsius out there on track. So nice and cold for the way that they race. But who is going to prove what they've got? Lights on here for 25 minutes worth of racing. Lights are out and we're underway. Not the greatest start in the world then there for Jason Cooper, and pushed his Ale Cobra onto the grass immediately off the start by the likes there of 4th position and Marcelo Pignan. It will bring Fernando Ansley then alongside as they charge over forward in towards turn 1 here. Who's going to have it on the brakes in around the outside? A little bit of a lock of wing mirrors then that went through, which forces back Ansley then through the field as he will now get swamped through that group as they now charge over, and there's going to be more trouble, and it is Ansley there in the background who gets turned and somehow has saved the car.
Absolute chaos and pandemonium. I was about to say they got through clean, but I would have been lying. But it's great for the guys ahead, but I'm sure we'll catch a replay shortly after about the chaos that unfolded. But there's been another spare.
Dalmases! And it's going to be Skittles as they go through. Lorenzo Pfeiffer took a tap. Enzo Sampaio up to second, and the two Brazilians now are starting to make contact with each other, and that's going to bring Ale Cobra in. Jason Cooper's got Christmas here. He's got a huge gap off for the opening start. Everybody's been tripping over each other, and Ale Cobra's around, and it's huge contact.
Absolute chaos. He was alongside Enzo, and they just ended up getting a little bit too close, but thankfully he's able to recover the car. I do wonder if you're on the grid at this point, are you going to be looking for your biggest points threat and trying to make sure that you impact their race, or are you just going to try and go outright just to try and get as many positions as you can? I understand why some guys didn't post the time. You know what? I think that is a good tactic to try and get that hard charge reward. It's all about racing the person who's next to you in the points, not necessarily who's on track. It depends on your mentality and your approach to this race.
Now, it's important to note that they've got 3 drop rounds that they have to use as everybody fans out through the opening section. More troubles. Jameson Sampaio this time. It's going to get turned at turn 1, and that there is contact with Oscar Pajadas there making that. So everybody is having a very scary start to their opening 2 minutes of this race and trying to keep themselves in trouble. So there is, bang! Out of the race then goes Sampaio in a very dramatic fashion, but it stands as this. Cooper leads. It's Pfeiffer in second on his debut. Morgan Burkhardt, what a start by him, started 11th on the grid, and the Parallel Racing Group drivers now up into 3rd, with Pablo Espes just behind him, Lars Fischer 5th, and Vladi Shopov, he finds himself now up in 6th.
As we're going live on camera there with Morgan Burkhardt, and definitely, it's one of those things where, as I'm looking at the thing, Morgan's managed to keep it pretty clean. He's up 8 positions at the minute, but I'm currently keeping an eye for a hard charger, and that would be the Roberto Bruno in the 36 car right now. I tell a lie, we've got an even harder. Ari Harrow, my apologies, 16 positions gained. Jake, was that one of the people who didn't qualify? If you could maybe refresh my memory, I know you'd be a lot more in tune with that than I would.
So the only 2 drivers who didn't qualify were Stephen Orrell and Sander Vares. The fast laps start checking in. Pablo Espes with that at the moment as they rush through. The Wave Italy Racing Team driver looking to push forward. Now, there were 3 drivers that started this season out there as Obsidian Racing Team drivers. It was Espes, it was Antley, and it was Ade Koba. Ade Koba went to Simify Esports to try and build up a brand new team. You look at what Pablo Espes has wanted. He needed help when it came to the Grand Prix Turn Racing iRacing series. That's why he's jumped over to the Wave Racing Italy team. It leaves Fernando Antley on his own, who's in 9th place. They charge though through on the brakes behind Lars Fischer in towards this fast, fantastic left-hander out on track. And the key is now going to be who can find places and who can hold on to places over the course of this one. They now find themselves in lockstep, and every single 10th of a second is going to matter over the course of this race.
Well, as you're saying that, I'm looking at the damage on front of the number 9 car, Lars Fischer, and I'm wondering if that damage is going to cost him a few attempts. Certainly, if you get a little bit of damage, it can certainly affect your straight line speed, as you can see going wide behind there, but Lars is managing to keep it clean. We'll see later as the race goes on. It's not a long enough race where tyre wear becomes a thing, but certainly straight line speed is going to be the biggest impact on that, I feel.
That was Adam McNally running wide, the man from Newcastle upon Tyne. Antley sets the fastest lap. He'll get some bonus points for it and is looking to try and hold on to a margin. Now, remember that margin, Antley's not going to be worried about Ade Koba, who right now sits miles down the field. He's going to be worried about one thing and one thing only, Jason Cooper, who leads this race. He's got to gain as many places as possible. He's happy he's got past McNally. He's now got to get past the other car then that's McNally's teammate. That's Adam Delmont. That's going to be a very difficult challenge to try and find a way past him, because he's trying to use all the road, and Delmont is wise to it. He's using the perfect defensive tactics to try and get Adam McNally back through.
It's beautiful to see it a series where team is actually becoming part of the event. Now, certainly if you're Jason Cooper, this is like the absolute lottery for you that you've got your teammate right in front of your biggest competition, and Delmont is performing his teamly duties. It's outstanding effort. He's really making that Miata as wide as he can, but there's only so much he can do. Certainly going into this final turn now, he can try and hug the inside line, but going down the back straight, it's going to compromise his exit speed. And is Anatoly going to get enough of the draft? Certainly when I was testing this earlier, you need a huge draft to be able to make a pass down here, because not only that, Delmont is getting a draft off Shopov in front of him.
Yeah, and Shopov, of course, is getting a draft from Lars Fischer, so everywhere you look, it's going to be difficult to make that move. Antley, though, is one for the brave. Big lunge down the inside, and he gets it blocked as well. Incredible pass by the Spaniard, and he'll jump up then into 7th position with that move, and an important move at that as well. Search is going on in front. Vladdy Shopov there in the negative delta by Bueller's car is trying to find the pass on Lars Fischer. This is all about trying to find that momentum and gaining that extra place, that extra position. It might also be that someone like Vladdy Shopov is pushing to try and find a way through, and he makes the pass through because he knows how important it is to stay with Espes and Burkhardt.
Well, he's not necessarily racing just the car ahead of him. He's racing people further up the field, and certainly I'm looking at Anatoly now and Delmont. Now, if I'm Anatoly, this is a pretty respectable league. I wouldn't be too worried that I've got Delmont behind me, but we have seen that accidents do happen in this league, and you're going to be aware that your biggest rival, his teammate is right behind him. So certainly, if I was Anatoly right now, I would be wanting to get out of there as quickly as possible, as he's just got great exit speed there, and he's potentially going to make a move on Lars Fischer going into turn 1.
Watching Ade Koba try and find a pass on Yordanin Svetanov. This is for 15th position. You feel right now anything you can possibly get here if you're number 1 Ade Koba, but he will probably use this one as his drop round. Remember, they've got 3. You might have to give up the championship lead heading into the final regular season race out there overall, which is the Grand Prix layout of Silverstone.
Definitely not one of the tracks I've been more familiar with. I feel embarrassed as a Brit to say that I can't drive Silverstone, but certainly Summit Point in the Miatas I think is a lot of fun. Silverstone's going to be interesting though, because we're at such a wide track. How many Miatas are we going to be able to get around the corner? I could see 4, potentially even 5 Miatas in some places around there.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of push and shove there behind as you and Bramer had Jaume Dalmases. It was Svetanov and Bramer. It brought Dalmases through. Here is 7th, 8th, and 9th now. Lars Fischer is looking backwards at this point in time. He's dropping like a stone, and he's got the double duo then of the 2 Adams. Delmont and McNally are going to want to try and push a way through and gain another position here on that run to the final corner. Don't expect to move here, but slingshot that run for the opener here as they now start to charge forward. As that's happening though, I do want to keep an eye on that race lead, because Lorenzo Pfeiffer's got that gap down to 8 tenths.
Oh, it's certainly getting a bit closer. I was just taking a look at Lars Fischer's car. His steering appears to be straight. I was wondering if that front end damage was slowing him down. Potentially that's why he's struggling for pace in the field right now. And I don't think that's particularly like he's off pace, like in terms of his talent. I think that the car is hurting him, as two people have just gone a shot right inside him on turn 1. Delmont's gone past, McNally's gone past. I mean, he's just about level with McNally right now, but I think the pass is pretty much there and done. He's not quite got the car to deliver, I feel, right now. It's incredibly close, thankfully keeping it out of the sand as we head into the later part of the circuit.
Yeah, and he'll soon look at Oscar Pajadas, who'll probably be next here. Lars Fischer catching the wrong end of it, and he's now trying to bring as much as he can home. Over the course of this one, big slide by McNally in the 11, and that's going to bring then the charge back forward then. Try and find that pass once more for Lars Fischer. Not going to happen, but Fischer's left the door open, and Oscar Pajadas is going to pretty much wriggle and ride his way through to the inside here. Out of turn number 9, he's going to make his way forward, and that's another one gone for Lars Fischer. This is a horror show for the German right now.
Well, the good thing is that
lap down, so that's not definitely going to help, but it is going to bring David Chapman closer.
It could actually be advantageous for him, because depending on the pace of this lap car of Pajadas, this may be able to give Fischer a tow to help him try and regain some of them positions there and keep him away from Chapman. But at the minute, I've head over to Burkhardt and Espes in 3rd and 4th. That gap's down to about 0.3 of a second now. Potentially, this could be the next big battle we've got going on for a crucial race position.
Well, we talk about crucial here. There's the lap time comparison. Jason Cooper then managing keeping his lap times the same. Pfeiffer couldn't really get things sorted then in the Tony Kanaan car at this moment in time. They're part of that Tony Kanaan esports machine, legendary racing driver, sim racing driver, you can say as well now at this point too. He's huge for the community over in Brazil. But Morgan Burkhardt is a very interesting story right now. His car number is 39. He is on the bubble coming into today, and being in 3rd position, if he can keep it where it is, he pretty much guarantees himself a seat at the table when the top 40 head into the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in December.
It's certainly going to be a good race, but I'm thinking as well, you're saying that Pfeiffer, it's his debut here? What a debut. I mean, this is a way to start an event, but where it's so near the end of the season, okay, perhaps this season, well, for sure this season is a write-off for him, but he's proven that he can mix it with these people. But as we're going on live board with Pablo Espes there, the Wave Italy racing team, he's got a good draft going down his front straight. I don't know if he's going to have enough momentum to put it on the inside, but certainly he's got a lapped car coming up ahead as well. You just got to try and keep it tidy at this point. Like, momentum is the key name of the game, and not only that, have these guys got the potential to catch up to the 1st and 2nd place.
And just behind that is Fernando Antli on the timing tower, making the pass on Vladislav Shopov. So what a recovery from the Obsidian driver. He's now up to 5th.
I've still got my eyes on Espes there. The gap's spread out a little bit, but I don't think it's over just yet, because there is lap traffic ahead. I do think that is going to bunch them up there as we're on board with Antli in the Obsidian racing car, the 5th place car. He's certainly slowly catching up to him as well. So this lapped car, as I go and have a quick look of Joe Singleton, he's in 32nd place right now. I do find some of the guys have been quick to get out of the way, lifting on the straights, but if you're Morgan Burkhardt, you're going to be using as much of that lap car to try and get a draft and pull yourself away, and hope that the timing of it just works out, that lap car ends up in between you and your competition.
Now, the important number here is 1.5 seconds. If you can get within 1.5 seconds of the car in front, that's where you're going to start getting that benefit of the slipstream on the straight. And I think Burkhardt has just latched onto that range, and Lorenzo Pfeiffer, which is key. Vladislav Shopov also still looking to try and find an overtake here towards turn 1, but he's stuck behind at this point in time. There is Burkhardt running through turn 1 out on circuit. Turn 2 immediately follows afterwards, but definitely not out of this one for the race victory. Now, earlier on in the season, he was 1 wheel failure away and 1 corner away from winning at Virginia International Raceway here in this series. He knows how important it is to gain as many places as he can, and we know in this series it's never over until the last corner's turn. Pfeiffer closing in, now 0.6 of a second.
Oh, definitely. Like, attrition is so huge, and where these cars race so closely together, it really doesn't take a lot for a race to change in just a matter of moments, because one big incident can cause chaos, echoing and reverbing through the grid. It's as if somebody's just going to drop like a whole box of light bulbs in a very light bulbs in a very, very quiet room like a library or something. The sheer pandemonium, shock and chaos can echo through the grid is just trinormous.
Yeah, and this is going to be crucial in terms of this race. We're taking a driver's eyes view here from Lorenzo Pfeiffer's cockpit at this moment in time. He knows how crucial it is to get on the back here of the 5-star motorsport driver, Jason Cooper, who has been driving sensationally this season and is looking to try and get a clean sweep on the board. Pole position in with the race win, with the seeding day fastest lap to go along with it on top. But he's not safe because Lorenzo Pfeiffer is an incredibly fast driver. And you've got to talk about that scene in Brazil. They've got some incredible drivers, Daniel, that aren't in this series who can go out and challenge. The likes of Gustavo Ariel is one of them. Jefe Giassi, a second. You can look through. There's about 20 drivers who are all looking to go through. And of course, there's also the South American Championships with the FIA, which is something that Lorenzo Pfeiffer will probably be looking at.
I've got to say, all these drivers are definitely on a talent level way above myself, but I'm actually wondering now, if I was Pfeiffer, do I want to go for the pass right away? Because remembering there's an extra couple of bonus points for having that fastest lap. Can he use the draft of the number 3 car of Jason Cooper to try and elevate him to that position? Perhaps the strategic move is a benefit, but where he's joined so late in the series, the points aren't necessarily his big incentive. So I don't think he's going to do it, but let's be real, as racing drivers, we enjoy having bragging rights. We want to be the qualifying fastest car. We want to take the race win, and if we get the fastest lap as well, but we hit all 3 on the head, that is the goal.
It is the goal. It is the key that they find. But here comes Lorenzo Pfeiffer right up onto the back. He'll bump him forward on this straight as they hit their markers and try and slow it down. I think Pfeiffer realizes, well, I could go out there and race for it, but you got Burkhardt and Espes who are now 1 second there. So he doesn't have maybe the luxury that he would have had as he's taken the time to try and catch up. With 9 minutes and 40 seconds to go, Burkhardt and Espes will make this a group of 4 at the front.
Oh, this is what I've been looking forward to, because again, the more that you battle, the slower it seems to be that you end up going and people start to catch you up. Now, I'm hoping these guys can reach into the mix. It does appear that Cooper's maybe dropped off the pace a little bit. Certainly Pfeiffer's been catching him. But then not only that, Burkhardt and Espes have caught him as well. And I think this is going to get interesting because Cooper's led pretty much a majority of the race at this point. He started pole as well. He's now under threat. And he wants to do well. But not only that, he wants to try and keep out of the weeds. Is it going to be that he goes, okay, you know what? I'm not going to fight that hard. If I can secure these points, I beat my competition. Because it could be tactical to just necessarily stay out of the woods at this point.
Well, he wants to stay out of trouble. He's done so well at doing that over the course of the racing that we've got. But the issue that Jason Cooper has is that he's on the front of this field, and Lorenzo Pfeiffer just has to choose his moment. And that moment might be now here. The Tony Kanaan esports driver moves to the inside of the 5-star motorsport machine, and Jason Cooper does not fight him on this straight. Lets him have that position and moves on forward into the race lead. 157 in the championship is P1.
Well, perhaps this could be a tactical move because he's recognized that Pfeiffer's got the pace. Now, can he use the toe of Pfeiffer to try and pull him away and keep him away from Burkhardt and Espes? That's what I'm hoping he's going to do, but at the minute, Burkhardt's lining him up. He's getting an eye on, and he's going to potentially make a move coming into this infield section.
It's difficult here through the chute and on the brakes, then through turn 5. You've also got Pablo Espes there, who would absolutely love some points. He's been the driver who's always been up at the front, hasn't got a race win in his championship season so far, has Pablo. But Pablo knows how important it is for him to try and jump up forward, gain those points, all important points, and really cement himself in the front 2 rows heading into the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. A little bit of a ways away, but that will be his main focus. How many points can I gain through turn 10? And looking to drive on this front stretch once again with 7.5 minutes left on board. Everyone's now going to start searching to the inside. There's a serpentine.
Oh, it's excellent to watch the train. It's almost as if you got one of those momentum gadgets where you just flick it and then all the balls move in unison. And as you can see there, they're really using all the pieces of the track there just to try and keep momentum going. But Burkhardt there, I wasn't quite sure which line he was taking, but he's now on the inside. And he's past Cooper, with Espes having to sniff up the inside as well.
Oh, this is going to be deadly here as they head now forward. Nose on the inside for Jason Cooper. He's going to try and strike back. Nowhere to go. Burkhardt has to leave him the space there on the outside line. They're going to trade paint on that run. And now here comes Espes. They're going to go 3 wide here, heading towards the chute. This is madness as they go through. And Cooper's going to be out in the grass. He's going to struggle to slow that down. And somehow he manages it. Burkhart's still in second. That was a wreck waiting to happen, but somehow they're still there. And Pfeiffer has the chance to run.
I can't believe they got away with that, Jake. Honestly, I thought that was going to be tears, tissues, the whole 9 yards. But you know what? Power to Cooper for holding on to that. Espes there, I think he was kind of just trying and keep his nose clean. He didn't seem to be too aggressive in there, but I think he's pretty happy where he's at. Don't get me wrong, he wants to move up the field, but he's not prepared to risk everything to do it. It is calculated right now as we go back to the replay.
This is massive. Espes forces the issue on the inside. Nowhere to go for Jason Cooper, but somehow he breaks on the grass and somehow has the car control to not let the car spin right or spin left. That is huge initiative to get that sorted, and somehow they're still back with Lorenzo Pfeiffer and all of that scrapping. Hello, wave the bell at this point in time. Fernando Antley's only a 1.5 seconds back. He's still in this.
It's not over yet, but he's only got 5.5 minutes to get back in the pack. But he's also got Chopoff right behind him, 2 tenths back. So it's not like he's got a clear run to just go and make a break for it. You can see the target ahead of him. He's motivated, but he can't concentrate solely on what's ahead. He's got to worry about what's behind as well.
He absolutely does. 1 and 2 right now. Lorenzo Pfeiffer and Morgan Burkhardt. It's then Jason Cooper and Pablo Espes, but then Antley and Shopov, 5th and 6th. They want in on this absolutely all day long and twice on Sundays, which, funnily enough, it's Sunday. Now it's going to be all about the runoff for the exit here for Lorenzo Pfeiffer, and he'll be looking in his mirrors every which way because Morgan Burkhardt has proven he wants to try and move up towards that race lead. That PRG car is going to be absolutely on rails trying to make that pass, but he doesn't get the best run off the exit. A little bit of gravel taken, and all of a sudden, look in the background, that's Pablo Espes wanting to get up into 3rd.
I'm watching him as well there, Jake, and as soon as he pulled out of that draft, you could see the car physically slow down where Cooper was getting a draft from Burkhead in front, but he's going wide out now, taking the outside line, but the good thing about that is he's going to have the inside at the next corner. It's cleared down between 1 and 2 for the moment, but Cooper and Espes side by side. This sand area up on the next corner, I'm hoping they don't explore it, but Espes squeezes through, just manages to hold onto the car. Cooper's going to dip the sand, but not quite enough, but he's able to keep it on track and keep going.
That was as close as you could possibly get. They were pixel close. That's how much they were pushing. And Pablo Espes knew exactly the dimensions of his MX5 Miata, and he did just about enough to hold that in station. All that battling has meant that it's put the perfect pick in place for Fernando Antley. He can now latch on, but I think he might need a little bit of help from this battle at the front. Espes is desperate for a race win, but he's got the newbie in Lorenzo Pfeiffer, and he's got the man trying to save himself on the bubble in Morgan Burkhardt to try and also find his first win of the season. 3 non-winners at the front, 4th and 5th, have both had race wins this season.
Well, they are definitely motivated, Jake. They're certainly going down this front straight. It just becomes a draft train caterpillar. But Espes is really having a go now. You can see that he is aware that he's only got about 3 minutes left to go, but Cooper's fighting back. He's on the outside line. Espes getting blocked up by Burkhardt ahead. Cooper trying to make the pass on the outside as Espes trying to just hug that inside line. Cooper just got a wheel alongside the wheel. I don't think it's enough he can make a move into the next turn, but he's certainly trying to put a nose in and just give that impression, you know, just to...
Oh, he will! Oh, he absolutely will! Oh, that's brilliant there from Jason Cooper. He preyed on the weakness and perfectly finds the way back up into 3rd place, and it brings now Fernando Antley onto the back, and he's not going to wait. It's his former teammate that is next on his hit list if he wants to move up and gain some more points. Replay on screen of this one. He just prayed, always stayed alongside and caught Pablo Espes napping.
Well, you can't do these with the higher downforce cars, I find. This is the best thing about the Miatas, but the spatial awareness, like you said, absolutely fantastic. A nice clean pass. There wasn't a lot of space in it. I'm grateful that the internet was so accurate at this point. And we're back to the battle for the lead now.
There goes Morgan Burkhardt. He's blinking like crazy. That's not going to help Lorenzo Pfeiffer in this position. And he just about gets it. But look at this, the up and under. Jason Cooper's got a monster run. They're going to be 3 wide on this straight with 2 laps to go. Who's going to find the best of the brakes as they now look to charge? Burkhardt blinking about in the middle is not going to be helping anything here, but Jason Cooper, oh, he gets tagged! Jason Cooper gets tagged and turned, and his championship hopes of being on pole at Laguna Seca suddenly look a lot less likely.
I swear Anatoly must be weeping with absolute rejoice at that point. His biggest competition is now out of the running for the moment, but definitely not the way you want to do it. You always want to make the pass on track. Definitely the flashing.
Look at Espes.
Espes
Look at
is still
Pablo
going.
Espes go. He's trying to box in Pfeiffer.
Oh, he's a man on a mission. Contact there, door by door. Espes, is that Espes? No, Espes is now going onto the inside into this next right-hander. He's on the inside. It's tight. And the good thing is he's got Burkhardt ahead of him to try and pull him along. But we got to add another car in the mix there. We got the lapped car of Duvantis there. He's in the way. He's bailing out. I don't blame him. I would dive out the way too. Try and stay well out of that battle for the top 4, top 5 even.
Top 5, and they know that when they next come across to the line, there will be 1 lap remaining. Morgan Burkhardt is looking for redemption from Virginia International Raceway. Pablo Espes has not found a victory. Lorenzo Pfeiffer, the rookie. Fernando Anthony looking to be number 1 coming out of today and heading towards Silverstone. And then Vladislav Shopov, who has been Mr. Consistency all season long. This is the best place to make a move here at turn 1. Middle of the road, driving, and into the back goes Pablo Espes. A push to pass to take the race lead, if ever I saw one. Pfeiffer will now jump up in the Tony Kanaan esports car. He'll now move into 2nd position, and suddenly Pablo is going to have to be on the defense, and he's going to have to try every trick in the book to keep Lorenzo Pfeiffer back behind him. They will run down to the chute here of turn number 5, out on track. Pfeiffer pivots to the inside, but he's not got it. In the grass goes Espes. Can he get it slow? No, there's contact. They both slide. Burkhardt will now take the race lead here on the final lap of this race. And suddenly, Anthony is 2nd. Vladi Shopov is now 3rd. At this point, Espes and Pfeiffer are relegated to 4th and 5th in this race. But there is one last corner that Fernando Anthony can charge. Morgan Burkhardt has seen races this year go away on this final corner. But I tell you what, Anthony tries to get in the mirrors and force a mistake. He's not going to see that one. Morgan Burkhardt was on the bubble coming into Summit Point. He will leave Summit Point with safety and a race win. Huge one for Morgan here at this brilliant track.
Oh, it was so tense. I mean, I almost felt that like karma went and bit them at the end, like a little bit of a push to pass, not like the DRS method that we see in Formula 1, more of a I'm going to give you a nudge and just take advantage of that track position there. But I feel that it was definitely a really good battle, a heated battle for sure. These guys were not giving up any real estate on track. If you wanted it, you had to not only go and ask for it, you didn't ask, you went, you earned it, and you dominated where you wanted that piece of road.
Still some brilliant battling there. Cali Cavisto in the positive Delta car is just going to be the wrong side of Patrick Alders, who will take big strides to the top 40 as well with his result finish of 16th place that he'll certainly take. Alexandre Longo also looking for a finish here as he finds himself just behind Miles Owens there. That's the number 25 car out there for the Platinum Racing team, doing just about enough then to hold himself steady. What a race we've just had. We're going to step aside for one moment here with the Global Sim Racing Channel. Post-race fallout from Summit Point, the penultimate round of the regular season, after this. from the bubble to potentially booking a place at Laguna Seca. A mega result in terms of the way things went today. It went crazy at the front, but Morgan Burkhart will finally pay back the victory he was due over at Virginia International Raceway. His winning margin, just a quarter of a second in the end over Fernando Antley. An incredible recovery for him after he was sideways on the opening lap of the race. Vladislav Shopov will take a well-deserved third position and continue to cement his place as a driver to keep an eye out on, with Laguna Seca just about 6 weeks away. With Pablo Espes fourth and Lorenzo Pfeiffer on debut in fifth, it shows that Pfeiffer's getting his eye in before the 2024 season. Jason Cooper will finish off in sixth place, but take some valuable bonus points over the course of racing today, with Adam McNally and David Chapman 7th and 8th, boosting up the Nation Cup points. Lars Fischer would end up in ninth, and it's a very good top 10 finish today for Trevor Roy. The number 21 driver will gain some big points with that.
And our Finland driver of Ari Hauer in 11th, followed by Ade Kobar. A bit unlucky there in the early starts of the race. He comes in 12th. Alan Bremner in 13th, with João Glaumeses in 14th. Ronald Moons in 15th. Patrick Alders 16th. Another Finland driver. This is fantastic. Cal Kavisto in 17th. Sander Ver in 18th, followed by Edward Gross in 19th, with Iordin Silvetsnov in 20th.
Behind that there, Jamie Florentino 21st, with Ronnie Mantignami having a rare off day today with the Blue Rose team. Stephen Orrell, who started from the back, would get 23rd, with Miles Owens in 24th position. Alexandre Longo, the Frenchman, and Rene Zegelar would make 25th and 26th. Tero Tillis would end up 27th, with the Lebanese driver Riyad Yasmin, the last finisher on the leading lap, leading to Klearchos Duvantzis and Joel Singleton, the first of the drivers a lap down. The final page sees a lot of lap down drivers, including Oscar Pajadas and Lauren Sebastian. Adam Delmont's race finished 7 laps early. That's going to be huge for him. Tough day for Ishmael Lamella as well. Both the Sampaios, who are father and son duo, 17th and 18th in the championship, days they would rather forget. So too, for car 6, Marcelo Pignan, that will be a hammer blow for his position when Laguna Seca is all said and done. We're going to get a chance, though, to start talking with a couple of drivers. First and foremost, Morgan Burkhart here with us at this point. Now, Morgan, I'm going to take you back a little bit in time. I'm going to take you back to Virginia International Raceway. You were one corner away on that day from picking up your victory in this series, and then the wheel snaps. For you to come back after a few months off with the SCCA work that you've been putting in, of course, in the real world, how important is it for you when you've been on the bubble to come in and pretty much cement your place now over at Laguna Seca?
It was very important to kind of just come in and really just do everything that I could to get in. I like you said, I've been away for a few months now, and all of the races are Saturday, Sundays, and if I could make it back to the event, I try. But it's was for sure extremely important to just kind of come in. Qualifying didn't go very well, but just come in and do everything you could, get into the top 5, get as many points as possible.
Look, you start in 11th, you finish in first. You've had an incredible day, but it's the sort of race where it pretty much went off from the drop of the flag. Fernando Antley found himself in with Marcelo Pignan and co, and it looked like it was carnage left and right. How do you pick yourself through the opening laps? Is it just a case of close your eyes and hope?
Yeah, kind of. I got a pretty good start and was able to get up to 10th before turn 1. Just kind of ran down the insides because I didn't want to get dive bombed into 1. Was able to pick up another couple spots from contact after that. Was running 8th. And then this is actually my home track. I live about 10 minutes from the gate here. So I have a lot of seat time in the real world here. So I've seen lots of these kinds of accidents happen and what works and what doesn't, because the track is shaped the same. So cars are going to act fairly similarly. So yeah, I got pretty lucky with holes opening up and it was able to just kind of sneak through. So I would mark that up to kind of closing your eyes and praying a little bit, because there were 2 or 3 incidents that the hole just happened to open up as I was going through it.
Well, a little bit of local knowledge and a little bit of luck in the parallel racing group car often goes a long way. But for you, we talk about qualifying. You come into today 39th. You're definitely not going to be 39th after today. That much we can certainly guarantee. It's Silverstone in terms of November coming up. For you, knowing you've got no drop rounds, how crucial is Silverstone going to be in terms of getting you as high of a grid position as possible for when Laguna Seca rocks around?
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna have to be there, kind of show up, do a lot of practice beforehand. I've been not had a whole lot of time to spare to practice for events all season long, so put aside a lot of extra time to really run laps before we get to that event and nail qualifying and just hope to stay in the top few cars until the end and maybe pick up another win. That would be the optimal position to be in. But yeah, the goal for that race is just going to be kind of just send it, really. I have a lot less to lose than some of the other guys up front. They're going to be working for, first, second, third, fifth on the grid. I'm going to be working to try and be inside the top 20. So I can take a couple more risks than they can. But yeah, we're just going to have to see.
Well, that is going to be something that's really crucial. Before we let you go, Morgan, the floor is yours. Anybody you'd like to thank? It's a big race victory for you here at Summit Point.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the rest of the Parallel Racing Group folks. I just got home from testing a Mazda MX5 Cup car in the real world, so it's a big thank you to JTR Motorsports Engineering for providing us a car to test, and you guys for broadcasting this, and of course Sander for putting on the series.
Well, there you have it. Morgan Burkhart finally picking up a big race victory and cementing himself in for a run at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. It's going to be a little bit different in terms of the results today. For the Toonside boy, Adam McNally, he is stood by with Daniel Salmon.
Hey, Adam, we was watching some really good racing earlier with yourself. There was Adam Delmont involved as well, Lars Fisher in there. Tell us a bit about how the race went for yourself.
Lap one, pretty great. Quite a few cars made a bit of an incident. I managed to get my way through. I caught up to Lars, but then touched the grass on the entry into the final corner. Dropped a few places. And then I had a back marker car who decided to try and battle us for like 2-3 laps, which I think ended up in disaster and took Delmont out.
Not always the race that you're looking for, but you started 14th and you moved up to 7th. So generally, like, it wasn't a terrible race, but certainly you would have hoped for a bit more. But as you head into like the later stages, what are you looking forward to? Like, are you going to be practicing quite vigorously? Like, tell us about like your preparation for these events.
To be fair, I don't have the time at the minute, so for the seeding day, I'd turn up as practices starting, same for the race. Maybe just get half an hour just before the practice session opens, but I'm just enjoying the racing. Well, I'm not expecting to be at the front. I mean, with the quality of guys in here, it's unbelievable. I mean, the times tonight, 1 second, I think it was, over the top 32 drivers.
It's definitely been some incredibly tight racing, and I got to take my hat off to you. Like, it's such a tight car to race, especially wheel to wheel, side by side, door on door. And as you said, there is a lot of talent in these races as well. So sheer power to you for actually managing to compete with these guys. I certainly couldn't do it, especially with such little practice. Like, I could practice for hours and I still wouldn't even get close to you guys. So excellent skill from you there. But is there anybody you want to thank?
Just everyone for doing the broadcast, everyone that sorts out the work behind the scenes and sorts the event out, and everyone that turns up and makes the racing great. I know there's a few incidents, but that happens. It's, like I said, so tight racing, it's bound to happen, but the majority of the part, everyone does a cracking job.
Well, that's excellent. That was Adam McNally. Thank you very much for coming in, and good luck in your next race.
Thank you.
So with Adam McNally getting a 7th place finish, we do have the chance, though, to jump in with a driver who finished off in 3rd position overall. That is Vladislav Shopov, who's here with us right now. Vladdy, you look at today, it looked like it was up, it was down, it was all around. You kept your nose clean, but you were about 3-4 seconds back with the 15 minutes to go. To come away with a 3rd position after being in 6th for the longest time, what sort of a race do you think that is in the context of your season?
I've got one word for it, and it's luck. It's nothing else. I just got lucky. Once again in Virginia, I think I got a podium too, and that was luck back then. It's luck again, and just keeping out of trouble, just keeping it clean, and position in the podium. I'm very happy about that.
There's nothing lucky about that low number on your car. Having single digits is a huge boon when we've got Laguna Seca not a million miles away. There is one stop before that, but for you to be inside the top 5 rows as things stand, heading to Laguna Seca, what is your focus right now in terms of improving on the drop rounds that you already have and looking around at the racing that you've got and saying this 3rd place is so important for my championship challenge to push up and gain positions on drivers who maybe didn't have as much of a good day, like Marcelo Pignan, for example?
My strategy right now is just keep looking forward. There's one race left and then the big final. But honestly, I don't think I'm going to change anything. I think it's working nicely so far, so I don't think we have to change what isn't broken.
No, that's very true. And how important has the team dynamic of Negative Delta been? Of course, you've got Jordan Svetinov who's there, Anton Simeonov as well. How important has that team effort been to propelling you forward in this championship?
We did a few practice sessions. This time I couldn't spend too much time on it, but before that, I actually learned something from my teammate, from Jordanin. He's been helping me a lot. This time, though, he had a tough luck. I think I haven't heard so much swearing in one race. He was really mad about this. I have to check what happened to his race, but I don't think it went as smoothly as mine.
Well, I'm sure in terms of his race, he'll have to look back on that and see how it goes. But for you, Vladdy, a 3rd place finish. The floor is yours. Anyone you'd like to thank?
The whole Negative Delta crew. They're making everything possible. Big out shout out to them.
Yeah, so a huge result for Vladislav Shopov. 3rd position overall. Nothing to shake a stick at in terms of today's racing. But that will bring the curtain down in terms of what we've got here today from Summit Point Raceway. And with just one round left in the regular season to go, it's a case of who is in and who is out, and that is going to be crucial. Want to give a massive thanks here today to everyone who's got it done, from the crew, of course, from Daniel, from Joe, and from Dougie. You can catch all of our equipment, of course, that has gone across through and the work that has been done, especially the music by June Lalonde. You can catch her stuff on Bandcamp if you have not already. And on top of that, a massive thanks goes to all of our social media. You can jump in on our social media. You can also have a massive look about on our website and our merch store, gslc.storeenvy.com. In terms of racing, there is one important round to keep in mind. Silverstone. It's the last bastion if you want to put yourself inside the top 40. All of our other broadcasts are going to be flying across your screen as things stand. If you haven't had the chance to already, you can mark that down in your diary. November 26th, you want to keep that one in the diary. That's when our last round of the regular season comes into full view. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, with Morgan Burkhart securing his place, Fernando Antili happy, and Jason Cooper will feel like he left something on the table. Race clean, race hard, and we'll see you in Silverstone.